It was a groundbreaking, a big day for the Athletics, a big day for the MLB, and a big day for Las Vegas. This time, we're breaking down the A's Las Vegas ballpark groundbreaking. Get ready, City Beat starts right now.
From Las Vegas, this is City Beat.
Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us here on City Beat. I'm your host, Mike Davis. City Beat is the show that dissects the Vegas sports world through the eyes of the sports reporters and storytellers leading the charge. On today's show, we're covering everything from the Athletics Las Vegas ballpark groundbreaking ceremony. And joining the action today on the panel, we have Ray Brewer, managing editor of Las Vegas Sun, Matt Neverett, the broadcast voice of the Las Vegas Aviators, and our very own Mike Allen, reporter and anchor with Fox 5 Las Vegas. So thanks so much for joining us. So Mike Allen, let me start with you. You were alongside me reporting live from the groundbreaking ceremony this morning. So what's your biggest takeaway from this historic event?
My biggest takeaway was the buy-in, Mike, of everybody involved. So you heard everybody talk from John Fisher, the owner of the A's, to Rob Manfred, the MLB commissioner. Fisher, more than in any other interview I really saw, kind of let loose. He was obviously very comfortable, and he's been facing a lot of scrutiny as far as what kind of funding he might have for the stadium. You and I grilled him on that a little bit.
You more so than me. I was asking him some of the more the
True.
Entertaining kind of like emotional questions, but you did press him, and he seemed very relaxed because today was such a big day for him and this franchise.
Yeah, that's right. And he said the funding, the timeline for the ballpark both appear to be looking good, which that's what you would imagine him to say. But some of the other things you noticed, Joe Lombardo cracking a few jokes as well. Everybody also pointed to the fact that this was a stadium that everyone wanted to make happen. Steve Hill, who is a local guy who is the CEO of the Stadium Convention Authority Board, he, it was revealed, was grilling John Fisher for months. Are you actually going to do this? Are you committed to the city? Because Hill didn't want to look like the guy who got left in the dust by an MLB owner. He wanted to make sure he got the commitment. That was clear today that was given by John Fisher to the city.
Yeah, 100%. And Mike and I and Ray, we're all kind of from the outside looking in, but Matt, you're from the inside looking out as being part of the family, being part of the Las Vegas Aviators. So tell us what your thoughts on just this day and getting here. There's been so much talk, so much discussion, and now we're finally here, and it looks like the next milestone is 2028.
Yeah, certainly a long time coming, and I think the timeline that was mentioned is the big thing, because that really was the question. You can move dirt around, you can announce anything you want, but this kind of made it official, and all the dignitaries in attendance all kind of along that same page. They're ready to go. All of a sudden that timeline laid out, and that kind of makes this a real thing. Opening day 2028 looks like it's going to happen on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah, it's going to be great stuff. Ray, tell us, you have been a fan of sports your whole life. You're almost synonymous with sports in Las Vegas when you come to the community and what you deliver on a daily basis. What's your thoughts right now from today, seeing all this develop and get to the place it's been? Where's your head at right now? Because I'm trying to guess. I'm trying to see if I'm going to get positive Ray or negative Ray today.
So I found it cool that Ken Korak was at the ceremony.
Yes.
The voice of the A's used to be the voice of UNLV basketball, like our current voice of UNLV basketball. But is his home run call going to be, he hit that to the Mandalay Bay or wherever, right?
Take your pick.
Yeah, where's the home run call going to be? But I think what's important for Las Vegas is we're still not even 10 years removed from all these pro sports franchises and leagues kind of flirting with us but not getting to the finish line for a variety of reasons. And baseball was kind of the front runner in that. So it's a celebration to know that another major league sports team is coming to the city, and just the heart of it, Las Vegas Strip, right? You got T-Mobile Arena, Allegiant Stadium, and the new baseball stadium, all within a mile of each other, 2 miles of each other. And all pro cities or all major cities have great athletics, great entertainment and music, great medical. And Las Vegas is evolving so much over the last 10 years. This is a big piece of that evolution. So, of course, there's always questions about financing and how the state had to put money in, and that money could have went to the failing school system. But today, it's about a celebration. Like you said, it's finally happening. And it's a notch in the city's belt, absolutely.
Yeah, to me, the biggest takeaway was just seeing so many young baseball players, boys and girls, in attendance. And Dallas Braden said it best. He was saying, listen, baseball it's a kid's sport. We all grow up playing, learning the fundamentals of the game, and they did such a great job today at the groundbreaking, just getting all these young people involved into the situation, whether it was kids and players from Boulder City, from Summerlin, from Henderson, all over, as well as the Make-A-Wish Nevada children as well. So it was such a great event in that capacity. I can't wait to see what baseball really means to the future and the youth here in Las Vegas. But guys, next, we're focusing on you, the locals, our beautiful and bright audience. How can the A's appeal to Las Vegas locals even more so? More on that after these words.
You're watching Sin City Beat.
Welcome back to Sin City Beat. Well, sure, the A's Las Vegas ballpark is set at the site of the Tropicana on the Strip, and of course, tourists and opposing fans will love to take in games, but locals will bring their fandom as well. So, Ray Brewer, what does the A's franchise need to do in order to appeal to Las Vegas locals?
One-word answer, win, right? We only support winners in Las Vegas. That's kind of been our mantra, and like it is in all other major cities, but Golden Knights had that great opening in 2017 based on the fact that they were winning, made it to the Stanley Cup. Now we love them to death. And I think that as long as the A's win some games, people are going to show up. And I think, of course, concession prices, right? I got 2 kids, family 4, going to go to a game. I don't want to spend $13 for a beer. I like Coors Field in Colorado, $3 beers. I love how the Aviators and 51s used to have dollar beer night or Monday dollar concession night. So hopefully they find a good locals day where if you got a Nevada ID, you could get that $3 beer or that dollar hot dog.
Yeah.
I think that would get people into the stadium, especially in the dog days of summer.
I think that Nevada ID is going to be a big piece of the puzzle here. But Matt, speaking about winning, and you really can answer this better than anybody, it's so exciting because you've been able to see the maturation of so much young talent with the Aviators now kind of grow through the system and display their talent on the biggest stage. We've seen it with Nick Kurtz of most recent, Denzel Clark. So how do you think from a timeline standpoint of all this young talent, are they going to be primed to compete because all these guys are going to be entering their prime once they arrive in 2028?
Yeah, 2028 is a very good year for the A's. It's looking like right now. I mean, we saw Jack Perkins, their #1 pitching prospect, make his big league debut yesterday and go 3 scoreless innings. Don't forget, the Aviators first half champions in the Pacific Coast League, clinching that one on the road last week in Sugar Land. They're going to host the PCL Championship Series at the end of September. The AA Midland Rockhounds just won the first half of the Texas League as well after going to the League Championship Series last year. So this A's system, a ton of big-time prospects on paper, and they're performing on the field, and I think that 2028 deadline is going to give these guys some time to get their feet wet. I think Nick Kurtz will be even bigger and stronger by then, especially when he goes to DH full-time, like a lot of folks think that he will. I mean, he's 6'4", 240 now. He's got some room to put on some weight, if you can believe it, and a little bit more strength as well. So the pitching is really the biggest question mark on the field right now here in 2025 for the Athletics, but they've got some really, really strong pitching prospects. The Aviators, the best team ERA in the minor leagues as a whole, and they have been dominant on the field really for the last year and a half. Culminating in that first half championship last week. So, yeah, the future is bright, and I think that deadline, so to speak, of 28 is going to be really when a lot of these guys start to hit their stride after a lot of major league at-bats for the hitters and innings on the mound for the pitchers.
All right, yeah, and we're going to be talking more about that timeline and what that youth success and that prime core looks like later on. But Mike, let's talk a little bit more about appealing to locals and what are some of those key components. I know something you and I have consistently spoken about, just backstage, in the office, is parking.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that and share your thoughts.
Of course, this is on the Strip, and the first thing people think about is, okay, is this for locals or is this for people visiting? There are certainly going to be a lot of visiting fans. You might imagine Yankees fans or Red Sox fans could take over the stadium, the Dodgers during interleague play. That's probably going to happen whenever you live in a tourist city like Las Vegas. But really the key, like you said, is to appeal to locals in terms of, can we get a bunch of local fans wearing green and gold into the stadium? And parking, like you said, is going to be a big part of it. Like, for example, on-site parking, only about, it looks like 3,500 or so spots for that in the plans. That's not going to be enough. So MGM, it looks like, is going to step up. Maybe about 7,500 or so parking spots is going to be maybe the sweet spot that they'll be able to offer. We don't have a number on that quite yet. But Mike, you and I kind of got an idea of what that might look like. In order to get there, we parked at MGM and took a shuttle over. It wasn't so bad. It took, probably on the shuttle, maybe about 5-10 minutes to get there. So that's doable for fans for sure. If you show up 30 or so minutes before the game, you park at MGM or somewhere else along the Strip. There's certainly no shortage of parking on the Strip, especially during the week where, we talked about maybe having locals nights or something like that. On a Wednesday night, $3 beer or something like that, just for example, for locals with a Nevada ID, it's probably easier to park on the Strip on that time of, during that time of week. So yeah, maybe you park at Treasure Island, for example, and you make a night out of it.
All right, we'll see what happens. I do love good parking. That's always a good thing. The older you get, Ray, the more you love parking.
I thought you were going to say, I do love a good cheap beer.
Oh, no.
Well, who doesn't?
That's a given.
That's 100%. All right, well, guys, from food to jumbotrons and so much more. After the break, we're talking about all the features we want to see at the A's Las Vegas ballpark coming in 2028. What do we know about the A's ballpark on the Las Vegas Strip? Well, press releases have stated the ballpark will have a capacity of 33,000, making it the smallest stadium in Major League Baseball. Also, it will feature the world's largest cable net glass window and the largest jumbotron in all of baseball. But beyond that, Matt and Everett, what do you want to see when this ballpark comes to fruition? What type of features?
Well, I mean, the video board and the in-game production are going to be such a big part of the design of the overall stadium. And of course, here in Las Vegas, we're used to the biggest, brightest, most glamorous lights you can imagine. So that's obviously going to be a main feature. And just traveling around to a lot of ballparks, not only in the major leagues, but in the minor leagues as well. Luxury boxes, suites, amenities of that sort are really, really becoming the main focus for a lot of these. How to get that high price ticket into the ballpark. I think that's going to be a big feature as well, especially because it's a little bit elevated. You're able to fit some more people in there. The food is going to be another big thing. In Las Vegas ballpark, I think we do it better than anybody else in the minor leagues. And of course in Vegas too, the food and the cuisine is a big time feature. So that's going to be, I think, something that is a really big focus. And the amenities for the players as well. I think that that's going to be the biggest difference from where they've been playing over the last couple of years in this A system to where they're going to be playing in 2028. Talking about the locker rooms, talking about the batting cages, a lot of the training stuff that they go through, a lot of the features needed for that. So I think that those three things are going to be a big, big part of some of the questions that need to be answered, but I think some of the things that are a bona fide given for what to expect.
Right, and these are all major upgrades from the Coliseum in Oakland. Ray, what are you thinking in terms of amenities? What do you want to see most?
Well, I'm a dad, and we like to go to baseball games every summer, and like clockwork, the kids can't sit there for 9 innings, and Petco's got that great area for kids in San Diego to hit off a tee and run around. We saw the same thing when we were in New York at the Met Stadium. They had a similar scenario. So hopefully when they do take a deep dive into this, they address people coming with kids and stuff to keep kids occupied or to enhance the experience for the kids. And I know at the Aviators Las Vegas ballpark, they've got that pool in the back, and I know the Diamondbacks, they were the originators of that. But listen, with the weather and the pool parties in Vegas are epic. I'd love to see a pool out there and just turn the Strip into one big party on an athletics game day.
Well, Mike Allen, you're a dad to be soon.
That's right.
Soon enough. What about you? Are you already thinking in 2028, your youngster, about what amenities he's gonna want potentially?
Ray said it real well with the pool. Any kind of mini diamond or something like that where the kids can maybe hit a t-ball or maybe play catch, that'll be great. I'm going to put 2 different hats on for you as well on top of the dad hat. Number 1, I'm going to put a news hat on for you.
Okay.
I have reported before that the Neon Museum is going to be partnering with the A's ballpark and its construction. What they want is to try to put some sort of satellite campus there with a bunch of neon signs there. Might be pretty cool. What I'm hoping as well, and I haven't gotten any confirmation of this, I would love for there to be some sort of like big neon sign. Like imagine, for example, the big Stardust sign. Imagine that goes out in the outfield, that lights up for a home run or something like that. Something to make it quintessentially Vegas. A lot of these ballparks, you see they're built and they can kind of be placed anywhere. Usually you want to make it so that it's identifiable with the city. Some are, some don't do as good a job. If you put those neon lights out there, some of those classic ones, I think that's really going to go a long way toward that. Second hat I'm going to put on for you is a baseball nerd hat, and that is the dimensions of the ballpark. This is a very small footprint for this ballpark. The outfield might have to be pretty small. In that case, it's going to be a big home run park. Lots of dingers in this park because we're a little bit higher up in elevation than most other stadiums, and the air is a lot thinner. So it's not going to be quite like Coors Field.
Yeah.
But if you can't get the outfield wall out past a certain point, it's going to be a lot of homers.
A lot. Nick Kurtz is he's going to be hitting 50, I think, in a ballpark like this. To me, you know, I'm 33 going on 70. Part of the Jewish experience, Ray, is that you're always just looking for a bathroom, parking, you know, and air conditioning. So to me, it's going to be all about, you know, how do we get that ballpark feel of being outside, but also, you know, staying cool.
It's like, have you ever been to Wrigley where they got the bathroom?
Yeah.
Where it's just one for all?
Yeah.
Would that quench your thirst?
I get a little timid in those situations. So
Stage fright.
Yeah, a little stage fright, you know, but that's when I just go through, you know, the 2001, you know, Arizona Diamondbacks batting roster, and then it gets me through, you know.
Yeah,
Luis Gonzalez,
Junior Spivey, Jay Bell,
Mark Grace,
Matt Williams,
Rubio Durazo, who could forget?
So when that happens,
You hit a Rubio and it's gone.
Boom, and I'm good to go. All right. I'm sharing a lot today. It's one of those days, guys. Listen, there's still more Sin City Beat to enjoy ahead. We're breaking down the exciting young core the A's have to build upon and hopefully compete with once they arrive here in 2020. First baseman Nick Kurtz, 22 years old. Third baseman Max Muncy, 22 years old. Shortstop Jacob Wilson, 23 years old. First baseman Tyler Soderstrom, 23 years old. Right fielder Lawrence Butler, 24 years old. Zach Geloff, second baseman, 25 years old. Center fielder Denzel Clark, 25 years old. Pitcher Mason Miller, 26 years old. Catcher Shea Langoliers, 27 years old. Why did I just do all that? Why is my producer James having a heart attack right now in that long intro? Because that's what I call a promising young roster. And there's a good chance when the A's arrive here in Vegas in 2028, most of these guys are going to be in or entering their prime. So Matt, we spoke a little bit about this earlier in the show, but timeline-wise, this team has a lot of potential. Do you see them potentially competing in the postseason immediately upon arrival in Las Vegas?
Well, and I think with that young core, including all the names that you had just mentioned, and then a couple of other guys that are in Las Vegas right now, if they're able to supplement that with some free agent additions, especially in terms of the pitching, I think that they absolutely have a chance here in a couple of years to compete. Don't forget, you've got Colby Thomas, who right now is the #1 prospect in the minor leagues, with the Aviators, leading the team and is second in the league in home runs. Nobody in minor league baseball has more runs batted in than Colby Thomas. You've got Jack Perkins, who made the Major League debut the other day. Logan Davidson, the 2019 first-round pick out of Clemson, who debuted earlier this year. He's with the Aviators. And a couple of other guys, including a handful of outfielders. That's going to be, I think, really their strength is the outfield. But Max Muncy, I've been so happy to see his success. I joked with him when he was with us that he's going to eventually drop the moniker of the other Max Muncy and be the premier Max Muncy. But the fact that he's up there and competing and really prospering at 22 years old is just incredible. And the A's do have such a young core, especially with the position players. And they've got guys that want to be there. You know, they say last year they called it the new Oakland before the move to Sacramento. And I think a lot of these guys are buying into the history of the franchise, knowing that they could be the next Dave Stewart, the next Dallas Braden, the next Raleigh Fingers, the guys that you had a chance to talk to today at the groundbreaking. I think a lot of guys kind of see almost a light at the end of the tunnel, and they really think that, this is a team that could compete with the right additions and the right guys staying healthy in 2028, especially being kind of that benchmark.
You know, Mike Allen, when we were talking with Raleigh Fingers, the Hall of Famer, the great Raleigh Fingers, this morning on Fox 5, he was talking about how much he loves Mason Miller and how impressed he was with him upon meeting him. Do you think, I know you're a baseball junkie, this is the kind of stuff you love to talk about with everybody, do you think Mason Miller is a trade piece, or is he a guy that is going to be on this team, on this roster, competing once they're here in 2028? Because it's about fitting together all these timelines. And when you think about Muncy, when you think about Geloff, when you think about Soderstrom, all these guys, we're running out of positions almost if they all develop to be the players that we hope them to be. So do you think a guy like Mason Miller is still on this roster once we get to 2028?
I think so. If there's any one of these young guys who's a trade piece, it's probably a position player because, like you said, we have a lot of them on this roster. Pitching, they definitely need to shore up. As you just said, Matt, this has got to be a key focus, not just in free agency, but also developing pitchers. And the A's have shown success developing pitchers over the last couple of decades. And in fact, you could even say the A's are pretty good at finding free agent kind of gems in the rough. Bartolo Colon, for example, his career was kind of dead before he came to Oakland. This was about a decade ago, and he's one of several pitchers that I can think of where they were worse before the A's and worse after the A's. And that certainly is something that this team has prided itself upon, is finding those diamonds in the rough, maybe some like 30-something-year-old guy, but also developing guys. They have the 11th overall pick this year, I believe. I'd be shocked if they didn't use that on a pitcher. Also, something to keep in mind, next year, depending how the season goes, this team might be a lottery team next year. Last season, they did not have the luxury of being in the lottery. They couldn't pick in the top 9, right? Because you couldn't do it 2 years in a row if you're a certain market size. They don't have that restriction next year. So depending how the season goes, they might have a top 5 pick next year. If they take, for example, a college pitcher, that guy could be ready to be the ace by the time they move to Vegas. Keep your eye on that.
Listen, guys, there's so much to talk about, so much excitement surrounding this team. Ray, I wanted to get to you, but we got to go. You know, it's the end of the show. I know you and
nobody
Bartolo
wants to talk about the fact
Ray.
that 3 years from now, these guys will be through arbitration, and the A's might not have money to pay all the 9 guys you listed.
Listen,
We'll talk about that later. That's fine.
We'll see you next time here on Sin City Beat.